controversial foods. Maybe, maybe not. But let's find out what's on Salmonella's list of banned and controversial foods. Check out his video down below, and let's get on into it.
Hey Majors, so
Hello.
I'd like to start off with a little biology lesson. When a
Okay.
species finds itself living on an island, it can start to evolve in strange ways based on the different pressures applied by the new environment. This is called island syndrome, and while it can manifest in a lot of ways, the biggest driving force is often a lack of predators. For example, the dodo lost its ability to fly since there was
So
nothing to flee
sad.
from. The Saint kilda field mouse got twice as big since it no longer had to hide. And with
Ooh.
no one around to bully them, the Sardinians started putting maggots in their cheese. Meet
Huh?
Kazumarzu, literal translation, rotten cheese. It's made by taking a perfectly good wheel of pecorino and letting a special type of fly lay eggs in it. The fly babies then work to partially digest the cheese, rendering it goopy and wet and maybe quite tasty and worm-filled. Now,
You
cheese
could
as a
not pay
concept is
me
already quite suspect.
10
It's clotted
million
milk that you
to
fill with
eat a
bacteria and
single
mold and let
bite.
sit for a while. But cheese is safe and delicious. Cheese is
Ugh.
my friend. I trust cheese.
I
So my
don't.
guard would be down around Kazumarzu. I've learned to look past a cheese's childhood. Strange upbringings are what give them their character. But it turns
Not
out
to
those
me.
maggots are still alive, and if you don't chew well enough, they can cause enteric myiasis, which is a fancy term for fly larvae living in your
It
intestines.
cannot
Symptoms are
be
similar to
that
food poisoning,
good.
except with the added psychic pain of knowing that, again, your bowels are full of squiggly new friends. It's for this reason that Kazumarzu is banned in the EU and elsewhere. A black market still exists, which is wild, and it's not a small one. In 2019, the illicit Kazumarzu trade was estimated to be worth 2 to 3 million euros annually. Personally, I would just do it
That's not
prohibition
that
style, like
much
definitely don't
for a
put these
trade.
fly eggs on this sumptuous wheel of pecorino. But if you do, you absolutely shouldn't keep it warm and damp for a week. But although it's traditional to leave the larvae alive when you eat your mag and cheese, some consumers still prefer them dead, shockingly. In that case, one puts the
I
cheese in a
prefer
sealed
none of
bag, and
them,
when the
but
maggots run
you
out of
know.
oxygen, they writhe around and fling themselves all over the place. This is heard as a distinct pitter-patter against the walls of the bag, and when the sound stops, the contents are ready to eat, like popcorn. Shark fin soup is one most of us have heard about already, mostly in reference to
Yeah.
its effect on shark populations and the wastefulness that goes into making it. Until recently, though, I never looked into the nature of the dish itself. I figured, right, the fins are just the only part of the shark worth eating. Big whoop, it's probably not much different from, like, swordfish. Apparently, though, I
You
had
can
it
eat
backwards.
swordfish?
Shark fins aren't even meat. They're made almost entirely of cartilage and collagen.
Blech.
They are the last part we should be eating. That's why it's only made into soup, because without being soaked in broth, it has zero flavor or nutritional value on its own. Their only redeeming quality is their unique mouthfeel due to how stringily the collagen grows, in structures called
So they have
ceratotrichia.
no
The texture has
redeeming
been described
features.
as somewhere between chewy and crunchy, which I find describes most things, actually. Other adjectives present on Wikipedia include snappy, gelatinous, and sinewy. The exact
I
sensation
don't
of
want
eating this substance
anything
remains a mystery to
sinewy.
me, and the unintended side effect of all this research is that I now really want to try it. Like, it's
I
a big
don't.
trade. I've got to be the one that's wrong. There is imitation shark fin soup available, but I've already decided that it's not nearly as good. So I've come up with a compromise to this controversy. Everyone on Earth gets just one bite. Say there's 10 bites
No,
to a
thank
fin, 4
you.
fins to a shark, 200 million sharks die, sure, a necessary casualty, but then we can end the practice forever. All done. You can finally rest, Mr. Ming. Come here, baby. Aw.
Huh?
Aki. What? Aki. Where?
Aki.
Aki. The aki is a fruit originally from West Africa, which is most commonly associated with Jamaican cuisine, where it appears in such dishes as aki and saltfish. These alien kidneys here are called the arils, and they're the only
It
part
looks
of the
like
fruit that's actually
lungs.
eaten. Their flavor is on the savory side, being described as kind of nutty or bean-like. What makes the aki controversial, though, is the effects it can cause when prepared improperly. If the arils are allowed to completely ripen, they're harmless, but if you eat them too early, or don't thoroughly clean off all the non-aril stuff, they can cause Jamaican vomiting sickness. This disease doesn't sound real. It sounds like it belongs next to Eastern sweats and Tangerian bone grindings, but that's actually an official term, and as for symptoms, it does what it says on the tin. Plus maybe death. While aki-based products aren't outright illegal in the United States, they are very
What?
tightly regulated, and the raw fruit itself cannot be imported. So if you're American and want to try it, your
No
options are
thanks.
fully cooked canned aki or going to
Oh,
Florida where a
I
few
think I've
people
seen
grow it
those
domestically.
cans
Next we have
before.
bird's nest soup. This is another one
Huh?
that I've vaguely heard of, and for years I just assumed the name was a playful metaphor like ants on a log or shit on a shingle. Turns out,
Never
nope,
heard of
this dish
those.
contains an actual bird nest, not like a pile of twigs like I was picturing, but rather a specific type of nest only made by certain species of swiftlets. These nests are
Swiftlet.
mostly made out of mucins, which are a set of proteins that, among other things, serve to thicken all those wonderful secretions our bodies make. There's a little bit
Ugh.
in human saliva, a little bit more in mucus, and in swiftlet saliva, look out, pal. So all the swiftlet does is
Mm.
it finds a nice
How
wall,
is
starts
that?
laying
Ugh.
out fat
How
strings
is
of
that
slobber, which
enjoyable to
dry, and
eat?
eventually she's got a nice place to roost. That is, right up until some gourmand says, "Oh,
Do not.
today I
I do
crave
not want to
bird
think about
spit.
that.
You can keep the eggs though." And they then
Ugh.
reconstitute it back into its
That
original gelatinous texture. Unfortunately, these nests can't enter the
that looks
US as,
awful.
believe it or not, eating
Ugh.
bird saliva is a great way to catch bird flu. And
Who would
now
have
the
thunk?
time has come to speak of the ortolan. The ortolan
Ortolan.
is a kind of bunting, which is a sort
Bunting.
of passerine, which is a
Passerine.
type of bird.
Bird.
They're birds.
Bird.
Like many
Bird.
animals,
Bird.
they have a long
Bird
history
is the
of being
word.
eaten by the French. But what
Of
separates the
course.
ortolan from your average squab or pheasant is the unique way in which it is prepared and eaten. They're
Okay.
typically caught with nets and kept in the dark, which causes them to overeat for some reason.
Hmm.
Once it's about twice as fat, the entire bird is then thrown into a container of brandy, alive,
Is that like
and sealed in.
wine?
While this serves to marinate the creature, it also drowns in the process, thereby killing one bird with no stones. The ortolan is
Hmm.
then roasted, plucked, and presented whole to the consumer, who inserts the carcass into their mouth, feet first. As they chew, one hand continues holding the bird's head, while the other picks out the larger bones. This whole ritual is
Ugh.
usually performed with a towel or large napkin over one's head. There's a few explanations for the purpose of the towel. Some say it's just there to keep the aromas in, while others say it's there to, quote, shield from God's eyes the shame of such a decadent and disgraceful act. Yeah, this one
That's
I'm
not
okay
gonna
with
help
not
you
trying
cover
actually.
your
Notable
shame.
fans of this dish include, not joking, Bill Cosby and the guy who invented the
Ugh.
lobotomy. To be part of that social club. Our
Yeah,
mission is
no
to
thanks.
eat birds whole and then make people not remember things. Killing
Mm-hmm.
ortolans was banned across the EU in 2007, not for any ethical reason, but because French people did this so much that the entire ortolan population was threatened. Thankfully,
Mm.
as of 2018, their conservation status is under least concern, so hopefully the French can get back to it soon. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Till next time, I'm Salmonella, and thank you for watching.
Thank you. Yes, I realized my model stopped tracking, but it's a short video, so hope you enjoyed. And do you know any worse banned foods or controversial foods? Let me know below and check out their video. And until next time, bye bye.